So if things are working properly, my mic should be working. We should be seeing the big old screen blocker majigger. And my voice should pop up pretty soon for the quick audio check. Then I'll mute that and move on. I hear background noise. There we go. All right, we are live. How's it going, everybody? We are here with our 4th speedrun challenge. I kind of threw together a thumbnail half-assedly, like everything else in my life. So today we are, where's the blocker? Doing a 2-for-1. There were 3 challenges on the Discord. One was Utter Chaos. You could take any campaign units you want, spell bugs, no real army limits outside of the 12,400, gold mark, and using the map we dictated, which was Mouth of the Pass. Challenge 2 was banner rules. If you alone can take an army and make it banner legal, no bug abuse, and beat these 2 armies in a 2v1, more power to you. That one was very difficult. And 3, worthless peons. You take an AI army, construct it however you want, and then your army is only a lord, and you try to manipulate your AI into not being utterly worthless. 2 armies on the screen, definitely maybe a little too hard. The feedback I received was I need to chill out for the next one. And I accept that. But previously all of them were too easy and people were just slamming through them. So that was proving a little tricky. So we were hoping this one would be more of a challenge for people. And unfortunately I went too far in the other way. But we have a bunch of unbreakable units with slayers, 2 unbreakable heroes on the dwarven side, and then a bunch of really good dwarven range that's not going anywhere. And then on the empire side we have cavalry, skirmish cav, and decent ranged harass. So it's just very well balanced. A lot of things, unfortunately, to deal with. And we didn't have as many submissions as other times. Some people told me they were trying, but it was just difficult. So I will pull up my list and we will get going. I'll also pull up this so you can see me. Hello. And my giant glowing microphone, but whatever. It's that or put the camera really far to the side. So for challenge 1, utter chaos, no real rules. You can abuse bugs as much as you want. We won't start there. Actually, yeah. How this is going to work better is if we start with challenge 2. So for challenge 2, you just take a normal army, no bug abuse, and you try to beat these 2 armies. And we had 2 submissions for this between Mythal, or also known as Dr. Kokosik, and Inticity. And in technically last place, but also second place, the only other person to beat this besides Inticity was Mythal. Very interesting pick to bring the vampire counts. I tried a vampire counts run and I got immediately obliterated. So it is very interesting to me that Mythal got this to work, but we will see a running theme. So for his army to 2v1 the enemy army, we just have an absolute cluster of Graveguard. There are 3 zombies mixed in here, a black coach, a corpse cart with an unholy lodestone, along with Helm and Gorst with Wind of Death, and his Graveguard summon, 2 White Kings, but just Graveguard. You're just going to run at them and try to outgrind 2 armies at once. There are 2 dogs in the back, but when I saw this army, I mean, he submitted the replay, so I assumed he had completed the challenge and won, but I was like, there is literally no way that this works. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to throw a fast forward just real quick while we see the undead slowly advance into the trees. Going to use the trees for some nice cover here. And then there's some Graveguard and zombies taking the charge. Maybe should have pulled the Graveguard back a little bit, but they are just taking some free damage right now as the Mortis Engine blob is getting set up in the woods. Dogs are just starting to move out now to take the cannons. Now in my versions of the speedrun with Skaven, I did a similar thing where you just keep the dogs hidden until the dwarves moved away from their precious cannons. Though now it looks like Mythal is trying to distract most of the dwarven units. Most of the dwarven units over here are kind of bumbling about as their AI tries to deal with these dogs, while the Empire has already largely committed to the main engagement. So right now this is essentially a 1v1 in the trees of Graveguard just slowly slapping through a crap ton of swordsmen. And there it is. A very nice Wind of Death coming through. I don't think it was overcasted, as those spearmen did not get entirely murdered. but still pretty good. And a nice Scab Scrath hitting all 3 crossbowmen at once. Very, very good. So the undead forces have already broken half of the Empire force. Yeah, roughly half the Empire force. Meanwhile, the dogs did get on top and break the cannons, and these other dogs will get on top and break those cannons easily enough. Some more things pile in, and for everything that's in here, Helmengorst is draining it down. Now, Felix is full health but low leadership, which is not great for him, and now these crossbowmen and Iron Drakes are firing in. The Iron Drakes, when I tried the vampire counts, were the hardest thing for me. They just roasted my troops, even when I was hiding in the bushes like this. Jade Wizard and the Archlector are both surrounded by White Kings and Helmengorst. Probably not the best place for them to be. They will get killed very quickly. Now, I'm wondering where are Gotrek? Gotrek and Ungrim were big problems. They're kind of on the outside of the forest right now, so I have to fight through a lot of zombies to get in. Black Coach is pulling out, going to go right through the Ekron Miners, mostly just disrupting that fire, trying to stop them from killing all of the Graveguard. Where are the dogs? These dogs are fine, these dogs are fine. I'm kind of surprised the AI let these dogs get away considering how surrounded they were, but I guess they just don't care about them. So, looks like Mythal is going to take the Direwolves and keep routing units routing. Some things disintegrating here. It looked like some Graveguard. The Black Coach is still just running around, free as a bird. Still, those Iron Drakes are firing, not getting the best contact on their troops. It looks like it may be even hitting their own guys. And as I say that, a Wind of Death comes down, takes out some Slayers, but again, I don't think it was overcast. I think it was just normal, because otherwise it should have killed a lot more things. Graveguard grinding down with Slayers. We can hit the fast forward button a little bit, as this is a slow vampire counts grind. Now we can see the Black Coach is running around still largely free and clear of most obstructions. And there's some Jade Wizard shenanigans coming down. But it looks like the White Kings are both full health. And where is Gorst? Oof. That corpse guard's taking a bad time. But Helmengorst is also full health. So the 2 White Kings and Gorst are all full health. And the Black Coach is at about half. Now Direwolves finally getting involved, trying to shut down those Iron Drakes. It looks like most of, if not all of the Vampire Count's infantry is gone. Slowly but surely that Black Coach is just pulling through everything. And I have no idea how it's still alive, if I had to be honest. I mean, it's surrounded by units. Some of them are halberdiers, but it's doing pretty fine. More Iron Drakes firing in, but at this point, with all the single entities left, I think every Iron Drake shot is doing more damage to allies than enemies. We can see the balance of power is slowly creeping back towards the middle, which almost always favors a human player. Helmengorst is heal capped. The Black Coach is somehow still alive, somehow hanging on, as Felix fights Helmengorst. I believe who just died in there was the Archlector. I believe. That or Ungrim. We have a Thane still fighting down here. Helmengorst is getting pretty low, but with 2 White Kings. If Gotrek and Ungrim are already dead, then I think this is pretty easy for the White Kings to carry. If Gotrek's lurking around somewhere, then these White Kings might struggle, but I don't see them. I believe some Graveguard were sicked upon them in the woods. So very interesting. I mean, that's not what I would think to take out 2 hostile enemy armies is just a crap ton of Graveguard. But Helmengorst getting 5,000 values, both White Kings getting over 2,000. So very nice there from Mythal. But that is our second and technically last place for the second challenge, which is having a Banner Rules army and etc., no bug abuse, yada yada. And our winner for that one will be Anticity. Now for today, how we're doing it is, since there are 3 challenges, there are 3 $10 prizes, and no one person can get 2 prizes. So we'll have 3 different winners. But I will say that Anticity did not win all 3 of the challenges, even if that had been the case. So we would naturally have another winner, even if that rule wasn't in place, which is exciting to see. So for Anticity, we have the Avalanche Mortars, Poison Wind. I did check this army is legal. You can afford it, and it is 12 ranged units. 5 Warped Fire Throwers, the Teeth Breakers Rattling Guns, which is interesting. I didn't think to use Warped Fire Throwers. I didn't think they'd be very good. 2 Assassins and a Gracier of Plague with Vermintide and Dreaded 13th. And then over here we have 4 Poisoned not Chaos Hounds, Wolf Rats, and 5 Night Runners. It's very interesting stuff. Gotrek running out really far ahead to try to hit the Avalanche Mortars, but while he does that, this part surprised me when I was watching the replay to make sure everything was hunky-dory. The Avalanche Mortars were doing a lot of damage to these cannons, and I just did not think that that would be a thing from my normal experience of Skaven. You know, the shots spread out a bunch. You don't think they would do that much damage, but they're really just wrecking them. and immediately push them off there. So that's very nice from Anticity. Now over here, a big thing that we'd have to ask Anticity himself, but I don't know how he did it, is he somehow managed to get the AI to send this Dumble Force off to run to its death. Meanwhile, these idiots clump up and these guys run in a fruitless pursuit after these Night Runners that outrun everything there. So I don't know how Anticity managed to get the AI to split up like this. For me, they always kind of traveled in a big blob. But we will have to ask him if he pops into the chat or if he does his own video analyzing this. But meanwhile, this pocket is very simple. It's just on an elevation, can see everything easily, firing 5 Warp Fire Throwers and Teeth Breakers into whatever comes this way, immediately annihilating it. Over here, the Avalanche Mortars are firing and kiting away from the Dragonback Slayers as 4 Wolf Rats are running interference. Not really sure. I think Anticity is trying to group up his forces now that the splitting of the AI has been achieved. And it looks like these Night Runners are just trying to harass some Slayers and get some free damage there. But the main pocket is over here doing a lot of nice work. Gracier of Plague is taking some good damage from those crossmen, but not really too much to worry about. And an early dreaded 13th cast. Really would have assumed that those would be cast on a big blob, get that massive AoE explosion, but nope, Anticity just summoning them actually for the Halberd Infantry. And it looks like the Knights of the Blazing Sun are a little tied up as all of a sudden a bunch of Wolf Rats jump on top of them and will eat them alive. Now Wolf Rats may be jumping on the Dragonback Slayers, but immediately thinking better of it and running away. Warp Fire Throwers attacking a somehow not broken Halberdier. There we go, finally starts to run. And Teeth Breakers firing into these Knights of the Blazing Sun, maybe scaring their own Wolf Rats, but they do rally, so they're fine. They are fine, they are fine. Anticity's Firing Corps is still largely doing okay. Skirmishing Corps is just distracting almost half of the dual armies, most of the Dwarven force. And unfortunately for Anticity, the cannons are back online, but maybe they can't see anything worth shooting, though it does look like they have pretty good sightlines. So I'd be surprised if they don't get firing in here pretty soon. This Gracier of Plague's just chilling, summoning when he has to slow down the advance. And these Dragonback Slayers, I think, are going to be a problem for Anticity. These Warfire Throwers have turned and fired on them, but they're so spread out that most of the flames are honestly missing. Rattling guns are firing in on the Archlector, and we're going to hit fast forward for a little bit as we watch some murder of the masses in fast forward. So it looks like Anticity did commit the dogs on the Dragonback Slayers and maybe hit them with some of his own Warp Fire Thrower. Maybe a little mistake there, but not a big one in the terms of things. And the bounce of power is at about half, which at this point in the game is very good. This Dwarven army has largely done nothing and is now getting involved, but its Empire comrades are all but vanquished already. Night Runners, I haven't seen getting a terribly large amount of value. I think they're just meant to split up the AI and harass, and you can turn them on skirmish mode and not really worry about microing them too much. Though Anticity doesn't really need micro cheats like that because he's usually quite good at handling his own units. Felix is getting worked on by the double assassin. Dragonback Slayers have a couple models left, and it looks like now the Skaven are pushing out to go meet the Dwarven advance. I wonder what'll take care of Gotrek, because those two assassins, I mean, they're both already half health. What do they have? One is the Rival High Talisman. They both have Assassin's Trophies, so they're okay in that aspect, but I think if Gotrek hits them once or twice, they'll die. I don't know about that one. Wolf Rats are actually doing quite well against Slayers. I guess Slayers anti-large doesn't help them against the Wolf Rats at all, but still a little surprising. Would have thought they would have fared better against those doggos. Warp Fire Throwers lining up. Looks like they're still just trying to keep those Empire troops a-running. These Wolf Rats should pull over and take care of both these cannons real quick. Probably. Iron Drake's firing into Warp Fire Throwers. It's doing some good work to the Warp Fire Throwers, but they're not going to be able to return it at all. That's going to be a wet noodle contest on that front. Rattling Gunners are trying to get some damage on Ungrim while they can. Just get the free real estate while it's there. Gotrek's still full health. Thane's still full health. So this is going to come down to a lot of the same problems I was running into. I had 4 Jezzails, 4 Rattling Guns, some Gutter Runners, etc., but I could kill everything except for the Thane, Gotrek, and Ungrim, and they would eventually run me down and kill everything. So, I'll be curious how that goes, because the Jezzails, for me, were the only thing that could actually do some good work to them, and Anticity has none. That being said, the Teeth Breakers firing on Ungrim are doing a great job. Felix has somehow come back. I wish he was this courageous in my games with him. And some Giant Slayers are trying to catch those Night Runners. Maybe a little slip of micros. They do happen to get caught, but there are Wolf Rats nearby to support. Now, this Thane is getting 2v1'd essentially, because I don't think the Avalanche Mortars are helping too much. By those Assassins, very nice from them. Some Slayers still around, still hanging on, and Gotrek is getting kited out by these Night Runners. They're doing a lot of damage to his 0 armor, no shield self. Avalanche Mortars firing in, but there's not a lot of big groups for them to really abuse anymore. So they are running on limited time. An assassin is hopping in to fight Ungrim, but he's taking massive friendly fire damage, and I think he's just dead. He is just dead. So a little bit of a sacrifice there, maybe just had to hold Ungrim in place. Army losses is kicking in, but that doesn't mean shit to these Slayers. So you will have to kill Gotrek in a pile of dogs and Night Runners, apparently, and now we will have to kill Ungrim Iron Fist. Just to fast forward a little bit there. I do believe he's just going to be surrounded and shot down. 95, 3 health, and he is dead. 707? Yep, 707 is the time. Which would mean Inticity, wait, 7. Yep, okay, I did the timing right. Yep, so Inticity did 427 seconds to beat that. Mythal took 559. So Inticity will be taking the first place and $10 reward for Challenge 1. Canonically, that just makes more sense, because if I had done... Wait, that was Challenge 2. If I had done Challenge 1 first, things would have gotten confusing, and you'll see why in a second. Ball. Teethbreakers got 4,000 value, very nice. Avalanche Mortars got 2,000, well, 3,000 some. More Fire Throwers doing great. All of Inticity's build doing great. I did think Skaven would be the best for this challenge. Inticity did a very different build than I anticipated, but still very good. So, Inticity is the winner of Challenge number 2. On to Challenge number 1, where you still didn't have a friend. You were solo, but in this one you could abuse bugs. You didn't have to obey banner rules. So coming in 3rd place with 342 seconds, we have Mythal. Again, it's also Dr. Kokosik. Depends on what you want to call that individual. And I'm gonna say I did not expect this theme to be coming out, but we're gonna see a lot of Krell in this matchup, and I would love anybody out there who took Krell to explain to me what the hell's going on. I don't know why Krell was a thing. I looked at all of his stats. I'm looking at his abilities. I don't know why Krell was a thing. Let's see. I mean, he doesn't have Guardian. He has decent stats. Is it just he's only 800 gold, so maybe he's just cheap? Is that it? He's only got 3,700 health. That's not amazing. His stats are pretty good, I guess. I don't know, but like we're gonna see it throughout the day. A ton of people are taking Krell, and I don't know what that's about. Other than that, it's Helm and Gorst and a bunch of zombies and as many Krells as you can hold on to. He's going to advance into the forest. This will look very similar to his number 2. Hey, Krell Metal, good to see you. And the Krell force will just slam into these Empire lines. Very, very interesting strategy. I don't know if he even had to pause the game for this. Just throws them in there, throws a couple Winds of Death out. And I don't think Mythal even abused, like, the bugs, because I don't see a million Winds of Death happening. Some of them don't look like they're overcasted. It's just good old-fashioned a bunch of Krells. Just a bunch of Krells. Dr. Jellyfish is here. Super stats, terror, and only 800 gold. True. I mean, I guess. He is cheap. I mean, he's about as cheap as a White King without Scab's Breath. But I know we're playing the whole thing in fast forward. It's just there's not a lot of tactics to do here. It's a bunch of Krells pinging around, slapping away until everybody flees in abject terror from the might of all these Krells. And Elvin Gorse is still here. Good for you. A swag Wind of Death that honestly wasn't needed just to proc army losses. And the Krell squad stands supreme. Oh, Dr. Jellyfish saying they have a free Deadly Onslaught and Foe Seeker. I didn't know that. I guess when I was looking at them, there wasn't anything you could take off of them, but still, shit. So, Helmgorst, 5,000 value. All the Krells, varying value based on what you get, but I suppose they're good at taking out the Thane and Ungrim and Gotrek. Zombies were just zombies. They had a good time, but Mythal managing to clutch that out even without bug abuse. So then for 2nd place, we have... Well, how do I want to do this? Screw it. For 2nd place, we have Dr. Jellyfish, but 1st place in this match was Inticity, though Inticity won the 2nd challenge. So Dr. Jellyfish is our winner for Challenge 1 with the 2nd best time. And yeah, I'll show you an Excel spreadsheet later because it gets a little complicated, but the results were very interesting. So, for Jellyfish, what do we have here? We have a whole bunch of Krells. 4, for, it looks like 12 Krells, Manfred von Karstein in the sky with Purple Sun of Xerxes that we can see going on. It looks like one dog in the back just to chase things off, but Dr. Jellyfish is quite on top of the spell spam. Yes, okay. For some reason I had a mini paranoid moment that this was actually Anticity's run, and I got a little scared. So very nice Purple Suns coming down, the Krell boys just standing in the middle, and Manfred von Karstein's going to be running around in circles trying not to die. Though there's some Pistoliers and Cannons there that are actually trying to make that very hard for him. Krell's standing in the middle, slapping away, nice Purple Sun coming in, so the strategy here is pretty much have nothing that Purple Sun friendly fire would affect, and just grind them all into the dirt. Krell squads are all going to beat up Felix and Ungrim and all the other heroes. Let me pause really quick. I mean, Ungrim's doing okay, but that Jade Wizard's not having a great time. Thane and the Archlector are both having a terrible time, and those Slayers are also not enjoying their life. It looks like Manfred in the back has summoned some zombies to keep himself safe from the underfire and is now pulling away. But the dogs did get on top of the cannons, free up Manfred a little bit, and it appears this tactic does use a lot of the Dwarven assets against them. Like, if these Iron Drakes manage to fire, they're probably going to hit their own infantry hordes most of the game. And same goes for the Trollhammer torpedoes, same goes for the cannons and other stuff like that. So it's just really co-opting your enemy's ranged units to work for you. So very nice stuff. We know how this goes from the last one. Unfortunately, it is not the most analytically interesting. It is just a pile of Krells doing piles of damage. Though that's fun. 869 kills from Manfred von Karstein with 10,000 value. Krells doing fine. Good job, Krells. And the dog's getting 900 value back. So it's Krell Day over here. And Dr. Jellyfish wins that one, so he is the winner of Challenge 1, though we will check out Anticity's time as it was technically faster, but he already won in a different capacity. Anticity going with a similar strategy that we saw in Speedrun Challenge 3, Supreme Sorceress of Fire and a butt ton of Canate Assassins. Which, if you don't know why Canate Assassins were taken, they do have a different type of Scab Scrath ability. It's a weird green fog. And they have some other like Soul Stealer-ish type ability. It's Web of Shadows or whatever, but it does damage in a Soul Stealer type formation. There's a first Burning Head coming in, and I'm sure we will see many more of them as Anticity is proficient in the bug abuse. Yep, more Burning Heads coming in, and we can see our... Oof, that Canadian Assassin took some work. That was not a good thing for him, but oh my god, Gotrek somebody already almost dead. Oh, hey, he got Gotrek's healing, good for him. It popped for once. Unfortunate for Anticity, but good for him. So the Burning Heads are taking care of everything that's not a single entity, and the Canadian Assassins are doing just absolute work on anything that is. That's hilarious to watch. And more Burning Heads coming in, more Burning Heads. And we can see now some of the green Scab Scraths will start coming through, more Burning Heads. The Dwarves are trying to fire in, but honestly can't find a target. And this is just silly. Anticity's actually taking a decent amount of damage in the sky, maybe for overcasting so much in a row. Slayers are getting murdered, both by giant Burning Heads and some Canate Assassins, though I think some of the Canate Assassins start to break because the leadership debuff does apply to them, and, I mean, some of them are actually getting their asses kicked. So that's pretty interesting. That cannon's in the back still firing. If that's firing at a Supreme Sorceress of Fire, he might want to be careful and move that. If he loses his Supreme Sorceress, that might be terrible for his morale over here. As we see some of that weird green fog coming in, and just this pile of Canate Assassins. It seems like for abuse, bugs and single entities are a little important. Who would have figured? This Canate Assassin did rally and get on top of some Thunderers, and his little Scab Scrath did absolutely nothing. Ooh, and the Supreme Sorceress of Fire down to 64 health and is fleeing, but I think it's too little too late for the Forces of Good. As what do they even have left? I mean, they have a cannon that's giving them some balance of power, but everything else here sucks at killing single entities. So we will fight for just a moment, and army losses will kick in right around 3 minutes. I think it's 2 seconds before 3 minutes. Yep. So Anticity with 178, technically the fastest time, but was disqualified due to winning another challenge. And that one, that's why we cast Challenge 2 first, because that would have been weird to go back to Challenge 1 and say, but Dr. Jellyfish wins because of reasons. And I'll show you the Excel spreadsheet to tell you why it was done this way, because it was done for a purpose. Now, on to Challenge 3. We had more contestants here. It seemed like people were more interested in this one. So challenge 3 was, you build an AI army without banner rules. You don't really need to worry about that. But then without abusing bugs, all you get is a lord, and you have to support your AI army and beat the 2 armies we've been seeing this whole time. Saw some interesting stuff here. I had some people tell me they tried to beat it, but could not. So we did have Houseplant submit a speedrun. There was a mild miscommunication about the AI had 12,400 funds. So Houseplant, being the memer in chief that we know and love on this channel, technically had the fastest time, but a very illegal build. So he will not win. Technically, he gets last because he didn't follow the rules, but it was still funny. So he just took a bunch of Knights of Gaval from the Yvres campaign, and I guess they have good stats. I'm not really sure why he decided to take all of them, but they have some terror. They have 61 melee attack, but it's just them across the board with Altharion the Grim to lead them on his horse. He doesn't get to fly. Everybody else gets to fly. Even though Houseplant went with infinite funds, still decided Altharion doesn't get to fly. As for his supporting lord, he took Manfred von Karstein with all of his spells, because why not? You have all the money in the world just to spend on that one guy. And we're going to see that these Hippogriff Knights on steroids are just going to dive in and immediately start routing off things, killing everything. There's not a ton of strategy to it. The AI just has a flying death squad. And the balance of power is massively against the AI, even though the AI is... I mean, most of their force is still fine, but just so many funds were used that the game's like, army losses. So that was interesting. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a cool strategy. I wonder why the balance of power is so messed up. And then I went to check if the build was legal, and I learned these guys are way more expensive. You can't possibly have this many of them. So that was fun. That was a fun little thing. But on with the show. So for the people who followed the rules, in 4th place is Anticity. Anticity is in 4th place in this speedrun, by the way. Just going to let that sink in. Let that marinate a little bit. There are 3 people out there who beat Anticity at this challenge. So for this, we have Anticity with the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, and his allies are going to be the Hunts Marshal's Expedition with a bunch of that Templar guy. Roderick L'Anguille. Interesting choice. General of the Empire, completely naked, and swordsman. So this is another question, kind of like the Krell thing. Why Roderick L'Anguille? I see him maybe 2, maybe 3 times. I guess he does have this AoE thing, if I can get it to be nice. Hey, be nice. Okay. Shatter causes severe damage to combatants, disrupts unit formation, etc. So it's like an explosion. I guess we'll have to watch for that. And then all of them have Guardian, so that's definitely stacking, if that bug still exists. Up in the sky, we have the Blood Dragon. He has literally everything possible, because why not? You have full army funds for one lord, even figuring out how to use something. It's good to have it. So, bunch of Rodericks charging forward. I'm assuming he is cheap like Krell. Is probably why you want to bring that many of them. So, some flame cannons getting in here, but it doesn't really matter. Now remember that the AI is using Roderick, not Anticity. And oh, they're wind spells? They're kind of like scab scrats. Well, that's interesting and kind of disorienting to watch. So the AI is just throwing Rodericks across the board and doing quite well with them, but Anticity's Blood Dragon Lord has taken a ton of damage on the advance. That is going to be tricky. I wonder if a Wind of Death is going to come out, because I watch all these on super fast form. 50% damage resist map wide versus Lords and Heroes. True. Anticity getting a nice breath attack down, clearing out some chaff around the Rodericks, but it looks like the swordsman that was brought to help out is already routing. I can't say I blame him. And I just keep hearing dung, 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 dung across the map as everybody keeps popping buffs and other various nonsense. So Rodericks are doing fine over here, but this middle right flank is kind of collapsing a bit. The Blood Dragon Lord had to come over here and help out. Is that Ungrim? Ungrim fighting 2 Rodericks and the Blood Dragon Lord. Not going great. Where is Gotrek? Is Gotrek over here? No, Slayers. There's Gotrek. Alright, Gotrek's explaining why 3 Rodericks over here are running away. And he's about to rear charge another one. Get in there, Gotrek! I don't know why I'm rooting against Anticity. I shouldn't do that. Defend yourself, Roderick! And it isn't. It is pretty insane, Dr. Jellyfish. Blood Dragon Vampire Lord still fighting amidst this pile. You'd think you'd want to get out of here by now and get back up at the sky and cycle charging, but maybe Anticity's just happy where he is. Thane trying to come back in, some Crosswind trying to come back in, but the bounce power is massively in Anticity and the AI's favor at this point, as there are plenty of Rodericks that are very healthy. And man, if the AI wasn't piloted, if the AI wasn't piloting all these units, a wind spell right there would be very nice. Well, they're not smart enough for that. Maybe one there. Oh, how many Rodericks do we have running away? 6? 7? Looks like 7. So some of the Rodericks are actually getting worked on a little bit. And this Blood Dragon Lord isn't having the best time. Ooh, no. Especially with those Iron Drakes and Trollheimer torpedoes firing into his back. The AI really needs to help out Anticity and come this way. And just a beautiful cast there from the AI. Just beautiful stuff. Look at the micro. The perfect flower shape going in all the wrong directions. Oh my god. If only my AI were this terrible. Alright. Oh, that's a good cast. That's a good cast. Alright. Congratulations, AI. You got one good cast in. You worthless peons. Blood Dragon Lord getting a little ham in there. Not a lot of health to be pulling this stunt, but Anticity knows what he's doing and routes off the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Those handgunners are going to go too. Oh, sorry, Thunderers. Pistoliers aren't much of a threat, so I guess Anticity knew what was up. Over here we have the Archlector fighting a whole bunch of pissed off Bretonnians, and that is not going to go well for him, as army losses starts to kick in, and Anticity will hold the day, as the Rodericks, again, try to do something good with their lives. And Gotrek just died up on that hill, I think. He's somewhere in this pile. Pile of similar Slayers. Where's that Gotrek? That's Gotrek, he's fine. He really needs a special symbol from the other Slayers. And now Gottrek's dead, just as soon as I said he's fine. There he is. Found his body. Alright, Rodericks will be fighting some Slayers till the day they die. And that'll be a win for Anticity and the Bretonnian Knights. So very nice stuff. Just Rodericks. Just Rodericks. And a Swordsman. And yes, you can take a 40 stack. I didn't mention it in the rules, but in the discussion afterwards, I'm like, as long as you only spend 12,400 funds, I don't really care if your AI has more units or not. Who's next? All right, now is our first different combatant than just Anticity, Jellyfish, and Mythal combating everything. We have Nirendon. Nirendon tried the Speedrun 3, and previously had a very, 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 very good time, but had some computer issues and had to resubmit one that was not as good, but I still appreciate his participation. So, Archaon the Ever-Chosen, no, actually it's just going to be a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire, is leading a whole bunch of Rodericks, and a Bright Wizard with Burning Head, hoping the AI casts a good Burning Head once in a while, and a General of the Empire with Hold the Line and the splash damage sword thingy-majigger. So over here, a nice Burning Head to start off the game, eliminating about 3 or 4 infantry units and a good breath attack. And another nice Burning Head coming in from the other side. Oh, that one's from the Bright Wizard. Got it. For a second there, I'm like, wait, did he just use the bug that we told him not to use? Nope. So, the Bright Wizard kind of teaming up with him there, getting a second Burning Head in. Shatters going down from the Rodericks. All of them extremely perfectly aimed and appropriately used. Yep. Perfect. So, Nirendon is trying to keep his Sorcerer Lord safe, though there's absolutely no healing for him on the Chaos roster, definitely, so should be a little careful there. Maybe would want to actually take an allied Jade Wizard. I wonder if they would cast the healing spells appropriately. But that aside, there's no healing here, so no point in talking about it. Another Burning Head coming down. I'm betting this one's from Nirendon because it's so well placed. I don't think an AI is that smart. What was over there? What was going on? Okay, the invisible Burning Head's over here, but whatever this was didn't happen. Interesting. As Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire is just going to dive in, take care of the Ekron Miners, and avoid these Slayers at all costs. Leave that to the Rodericks. And the Rodericks are winning a lot of other fights. So Burning Head, under the control of a player, has certainly been very good. A nice breath attack there on top of all these clumped up Slayers has also been very good. And the Rodericks in the center are all doing great. Where are our enemy heroes going here? There's a Thane, there's Ungrim. Gotrek is somewhere, or is he already dead? Slayers. Sucks that his symbol is literally just a Slayer symbol. It's just an axe. Alright, I'll assume he's dead until proven otherwise. That's always worked out for the villains in the Gotrek and Felix novels. It's just Gotrek's dead. Don't worry about it. Balance of power is going pretty heavily into the favor of Chaos and the Hunts Marshal's expedition, but the Chaos Sorcerer Lord does run away. He'll probably come back and he'll be fine, but maybe the AI will send some forces after him or something. And they didn't, so he's coming back. That Roderick is just getting roasted. He did not have a good time, and he immediately breaks. That was kind of funny to happenstance into. As over here, we have more Rodericks. Yes! Fire the whoa! Those were perfectly placed shatters, but their icons were definitely bugged, because that's not the direction they were going. But that one was true. I don't know what's going on. Some fire hammers into mostly the Dragonback Slayers as a breath attack comes in and kind of roasts one of his own Rodericks. There's so much friendly fire going on! I don't know what's happening! Oh no! Chaos Sorcerer Lord dives in onto the Thane, but if he takes a chop to the head, he's actually going to deeply regret that. That'll be interesting. A very ambitious shatter from that Roderick, just trying to get some of these guys. As the Trollhammer torpedoes are firing in, if they are firing at that Chaos Sorcerer Lord, he is dead. But it looks like they're firing at one of the Rodericks for some reason. But slowly, Roderick L'Angui will grind down all of these foes, and army losses kicks in. Very well played from Nirendun. And that will be a replay of... Anticity had 298 seconds. Nirendun had 278. So in second place, but winning this competition is Mythal with a time of 254 seconds. Mythal, we need 3. Mythal speed 3. Also choosing to go with Vampire counts as an ally. So Mythal... Nirendun? Talked about rush attempt when your lord barely survives. Yeah. But you did good, Nirendun. You did good. At least you completed it. Some people had trouble. So if you recognize Mythal's army, it should be very familiar to you. It is just a whole bunch of Krells and Helmengorst on a chariot. It looks like Mythal trusted that the AI could handle this no micro-intensity build and just throw Krells at them and a Mortis engine. Meanwhile, he himself is holding Count Noctilus with all of his spells, all of his abilities, because, once again, why not? It's the only thing you have. Though I do remember this game going off the rails pretty quickly. So the advance for the Vampire counts is slow and deliberate. They get charged pretty quickly. Now what happens over here is interesting. The AI Gotrek says, fuck all this noise, and just runs past the front line and sprints for Noctilus. And immediately Mythal's like, nope, 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 nope. Please, somebody get me out of here. As there are cannonballs coming in, a summon to try to keep Gotrek away. But that did get a little snaggy for him. Now some fires coming in from the cannons, doing some good work. Gotrek's still on his ass, and now he's surrounded by Knights of the Blazing Sun. So already Noctilus is in trouble. Noctilus is trying to cast a Pit of Shades over here and help out all of the Krells, but maybe should be focusing a little bit more on his own safety as he is getting destroyed by the Knights of the Blazing Sun. The Zombie Pirate Deckhands mob are coming in to try to bail him out, but Gotrek, luckily for Noctilus, decided after running all this way, after all that, this much distance, too much, and decided to go home. So, Noctilus got a little lucky there, and is now fighting perfectly fine. The Knights of Blazing Sun decided that surrounding the most important character in this version of this game was just not where they wanted to be, and instead leave him perfectly alone for some reason. But we do have some more Pistoliers coming in here, and Slayers, so Noctilus is still not safe and having a hell of a time. Though these Pistoliers with plenty of ammo decide to rush into melee with Noctilus. Oh, AI, you beautiful, beautiful monstrosity. What's going on over here? Krell and Gorst are draining down everything that comes near them and or slapping it with giant axes. Now, once again, Noctilus is surrounded, but there's a summon coming in again to give him some space. Wei saying not the smartest stunty. True Wei. Though I'm not the smartest human boy thing, so meh. Noctilus pushing off some things with his terror. Those Pistoliers probably should use all that beautiful ammo in their pockets instead of their bodies, but that might be too little too late for them. Another Pit of Shades coming down over here on some Swordsmen and Ekron's Miners, though the Ekron's Miners are piecing out, and it looks like with that, Mythal will cancel the cast. Some Trollhammer torpedoes coming in, and Noctilus is getting pretty low. 2,000 health is a lot, but not a lot on a Necrofex Colossus. Though at this point, maybe the AI Krell spam could win it without him. Gotrek getting another healing proc. He's getting lucky today, considering how kind of weird that ability is. Up here, Noctilus is going to keep firing. Takes a minimal fire from other places, but mostly is secure. And the Krells will grind down the day. And that is Mythal. Second place in Challenge 3, but technically our winner. And again, I know that's a little confusing. You'll see an Excel spreadsheet in a moment. Noctilus getting 3,000 value, doing great. And the AI, Gorst, and Krell crews all doing quite well. So for our actual fastest person, we have Dr. Jellyfish on round 3 with 238 seconds. So a full minute faster than our Lord and Savior, Anticity. Just making sure I have this right. All right, and if I remember this replay, I was doing it on super fast speed as I usually do when I'm just reviewing to make sure everything looks hunky-dory. Archaon has a bit of an adventure in this game, so we'll see. This build is starting to look awful familiar as we have about 14 Krells and Helm Gorst. I did check that this build, you can have that many Krells with that amount of money. He is exceptionally cheap. So, no chaff, no zombies, no skeleton warriors for our boy Dr. Jellyfish, but we do have Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, with everything. Now, with all of his stat buffs and stuff, he can actually be a really good duelist, so I imagine he'll be quite good at taking out the Slayers and Thanes and such. But he was hiding behind a hill there to try to avoid some cannon fire, and already gets jumped on by Empire Knights, and has Trollhammer torpedoes firing at him, and some cannons. So, Archaon is in an early disadvantage, and is trying to run over to the Krells for support. Sorry about that. First time we've actually seen anyone go to their AI for support. Very interesting tag team there, but Gotrek is getting worked on by the Krells and Archaon, though Archaon does immediately start ignoring him for the Thane. And now, once again, Archaon is surrounded this time by... Are those Pistoliers? Pistoliers, get out of here! Go use your ammo, for the love of God. Okay. After I have chastised those Pistoliers, I'm sure they will do better. Archaon is just in a big old pile. I think he cast a Flamestorm over here that I didn't notice, but it looks like it did a ton of work on these guys. So very good cast from Dr. Jellyfish, but this is what happens to him. Thane and Gotrek both getting great hits on Archaon, and now he's surrounded by Giant Slayers. He tries to use a Burning Head to get out, and he will push his way through, but he's at so low health, 1 minute and 50 seconds into the game. I don't know how Archaon's going to make it through all of this, but he has just such little health, and he's barely hanging on. There's no real healing for him around here. Yeah, Helm Gorst doesn't give him any healing, because he's not undead. So it looks like Dr. Jellyfish might have to count on Krell and the boys to do most of the carrying. Again, some Thunderers and some Crossbowmen getting good shots into Archaon, and fearlessly he charges into the Troll Hammers with cannonballs ripping past. He takes another 300 health. He's down to 787 health on his Archaon. Meanwhile, the undead forces are doing perfectly fine. Krells are Krelling, and Gorst is Gorsting. Some cavalry charging in. Archaon's getting awfully low on leadership. Is it going to dip below negative? We will find out. It's up and down as Foe Seeker is popped, but he's down to 400 health. His leadership was just negative for a moment there, but I think if he takes another hit, he is going to break, and there it all of a sudden is with a spike to negative 37. Archaon is running and taking a lot of damage. Can the Krells carry for Dr. Jellyfish, as he is now almost entirely reliant on the AI to do the work, unless could Archaon rally? I think he will, seeing as how he's in the positives and really far away from everybody. As we mentioned earlier, these Iron Drakes were actually probably hired by Helm Gorst to shoot all of their own dwarves. Archaon does rally in the backfield and is taking some fire, but I think he'll be okay, as the Krell Bell team is just murdering away. Archaon running around for a little bit. I think that's going to be a Burning Head. Ooh, and a very nice one. That is, takes out 2 units of crossbowmen wholesale, and then Archaon jumps right in onto these Iron Drakes, fearless at 300 health. Certainly pushing the edges of the limits there, but then it looks like army losses is going to start kicking in, and the Krell squad will once again be victorious. So that is that, unless there's an unbreakable unit I'm missing. There we go. Heroic victory. Archaon getting 4,400 value. Helm Gorst doing fine. Helm Gorst actually getting about as much as the Krells. So very interesting there. Now, I did promise to explain what the hell was going on with that format. So let's just pull up the left screen, and you see the Infinity And now you should see an Excel spreadsheet, right? Yep. Okay. So highlighted there in green are the winners of each thing. Now, why I decided to do it this way is because, yes, Inticity won challenge 1, and I could have gone left to right. But with Inticity and Jellyfish, and then Inticity Mythol, and then Jellyfish and Mythol, we actually had a perfect pairing of like 2 of them were in the top 2 every time. And how I also could have done it, and there's an argument for this, I see it, but Inticity getting first here, Jellyfish getting first here, and Mythol getting second, but getting the award here. I just would have felt bad giving Mythol the win on a category that he technically got last. And this way I could have, I mean, Jellyfish beat Mythol here, so he beat someone, therefore deserves something. Inticity beat Mythol and actually got first, so deserves something. And Mythol beat Nirendon, Inticity, and technically Houseplant, because Houseplant technically cheated. But like, this way I could give each person something having beat someone, because it just feels, I don't know, to me it feels shitty to give somebody a prize for participating. So that's how that was. But looking at the spreadsheet, you can see that Inticity, Jellyfish, and Mythol all were very competitive and did very well. So very, very well played to those 3 players. I will get in touch with all of them soon and get them $10. And I will mark their win on my Discord. And I think, if I can pull it up really quickly, winners totals, that brings Inticity to 4 wins, meaning the first person on my channel to get 5 wins in tournaments. Wins in tournaments being like winning the tournament, not just I got a win. First person to get 5 gets $50, and Inticity is at 4 entirely off of speedrun performances. Now that's getting a little risky. Coming in second behind him so far is Deadly Bunnies with 3. Are there any other 3s? No. So it's Deadly Bunnies with 3, Inticity with 4, and everybody else that is competing has 2. So getting a little close there. But if you want to get your name on the board and try to get to 5 wins, a good place to start would be Sunday and Monday. We are having 2 tournaments. One at 11 a.m. my time, which is GMT minus 5, and the other one at 1900 my time, GMT minus 5, to try to help the European and American crowds with their different time schedules. That will be a hero hammer format. You can have 4 heroes instead of 2, but you do have to take different types of heroes. Like if you're Empire, for example, if you want 2 warrior priests, you have to take a warrior priest and then another one, let's say a general of the Empire, and then a Jade Wizard. And then with that 4th slot, you can finally double up again. So you could get another general of the Empire, you could get another light wizard, or you could get another warrior priest. But until then, you need to go unique. So that'll be fun. And then my channel will go quiet a little bit until after the brass bowl and nonsense all clear up. I feel like there's something else I was supposed to tell people. Oh yeah, I'm currently trying to get together people for the third faction face-off. I've been going down the list of people who have signed up and see if they want to play. We need a Vampire Counts, Vampirates, and Tomb Kings, and not having the fastest responses. So I'm going to start going through the list a little quicker, and if people don't want to play, they don't want to play, and I'll keep moving on. But we are hoping to get that set up. So if you want to play, make sure to go to my Discord, Faction Face-Off, throw what you want to play in there, and when I get to you, I get to you. Quick stream, second was that hard, only 2 of the 6 trying done it. Yeah, Dr. Jellyfish, that's true. The second one was hard. And again, this whole speedrun thing was a little harder than it should have been, and I will do better to make the next one not so crazy. But the first one with the Dark Elves was a little too easy. I think the middle 2 were better difficulty, and then this one was definitely too hard. But clearly, some people still managed to get it done, and many props to them. I think it's fitting of a speedrun video to be speedrun length, so we will call it there. How long have I been streaming? I don't know. Like 2 minutes? 3 minutes? Whatever. Doesn't matter. I hope you all have a great day. Have a wonderful weekend, and I love you all. Goodbye.